Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Yes, thank you. You guys are so kind. Thank you so much for tuning in. For all my new listeners, new episodes drop every Thursday. I usually talk about my life and the ways I'm trying to grow. So come back through for a regular episode. Matter of fact, an episode just dropped Thursday by the time this airs. So check that out. But also we do these power recaps midway through the season, at the end of the season, for all four. We're up to 4 books now of power. So super excited about that. This is one of my favorite. I guess it's like a universe now. It used to just be one show and it was my favorite show, but here we are. To all my regular supporters, y'all already know what it is. I appreciate y'all. The gang's all here. So we got Cedric, Cedric, and then we have the dating pool department manager. Is that correct?
Maybe, depending on who calling.
We got one of the dating pool department representatives.
There we go.
And the numbers on the screen, if you are watching, you can call, and he can tell you more about that when we get into promoting ourselves. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, we do a sort of like not super deep dive into power shows, but we definitely usually recap the first 5 episodes and then the last 5 episodes. So here we are today to recap Power Book 4, Force, hereafter referred to as Tommy. But I did want to at least one time in this thing say it what it's actually called. So if you're new to the power world, there was Power, so that's OG Power as they like to call it now. That set it all off. Tommy was one of the main characters. Then there's Power Book 2, which is about Tariq, so these are just spin-offs that main characters got. Then there's Raising Kanan, which is book 3. And that is kind of like a prequel because Kanan actually died in OG Power. And then here we are with the book that those of us who are true fans of Power, because I see where different people came in at different places in this world that 50 Cent and Courtney Kemp have created. This is the book that I have been waiting for. When Ghost and Tommy was beefing, I was definitely Team Tommy. So I am super excited to have his show here, have, like some elements of original Power that we are used to. So there's definitely more drugs on a different level. There's more sex, on a level that I'm comfortable with actually seeing. So I appreciate the fact that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Kanan and Tariq be getting some in the other books, but I'm glad it's not these explicit scenes that don't nobody want to see. So we definitely are getting back to the Power that, I won't say the Power that we're used to because it's definitely different, but certain elements that we're used to. So just to give y'all a little bit more background information before we kind of dive into it. So Tommy, like I said, is from the main Power. He was headed to LA, but decided to stay in Chicago. And this series actually picks up more so where book 2 left off. So he did have a appearance for a few episodes in book 2, and then faked his death, left New York, was headed to LA, decided to stay in Chicago. So here we are. The main characters are, of course, Tommy, There's Diamond and Jenard, they're brothers. There's the Flynns, so Walter's the dad, Vic and Claudia are the son and daughter. There's JP, which we will get more into him later, pause. And then Gloria. Then there is Liliana, which that was an interesting surprise. So those are kind of like the main characters that we kind of not even so much Gloria as a main character that we see a lot, but she kind of has a main part ish kind of. But yeah, so here we are, guys. First impressions of the series. What do y'all think so far?
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I like the character development. I like the characters that they're introducing. Diamond's character, I like him a lot. I also like his brother. What's his name? Jenard.
Mm-hmm.
That's another character I like as well too. And then I like how they're introducing a little bit more of Tommy's background, his family.
Mm-hmm.
He got a black brother.
Which is crazy because Ghost was his black brother forever, and he got a real black brother.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, I like it so far. I like it so far. I like to see where they're going with it. I like how it's it feels like more like Power. And yeah, I like it. I like it. I like to see what's going on.
Baylor, what about you?
Well, through the first couple of episodes, kind of felt like for the rest of the season they was going to be setting up for season 2. They did announce that season 2 will be coming. It got renewed for season 2 already.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I paid close attention to is once Tommy left New York, he was supposed to head to LA. And I want to say the first episode or two, he kept getting a phone call from LA. So that had me believe, and I was talking to some other folks that had me believe that this is going to continue for at least another 2 seasons or so, because I think he will probably have to end up in LA at one point. It's a possibility. That's my guess that he'll
Okay.
end up being in LA at some point. Other than that, I didn't really take too much from it. Other than this is probably just setting the pieces up for season 2. So I don't think we'll have any wow factors, any shock values, or anything like that, because we don't have any outside of Tommy. We don't have any emotional ties to any of the characters because most of them are fairly new. Liliana is probably the one that we probably is growing on us. Again, like said, I do like Diamond's character. His brother, I was never against Tommy, but I was definitely Team Ghost for the simple fact that they were in the same position, but one was trying to get out of the game. So I'm all for a guy in his position that wants to at least turn a negative into a positive. And that seems like Gerard seems like he's more on the Tommy side, even though he doesn't like Tommy, but it's the same route. Like he wants to be in the drug game and wants to do it his way. So I see a lot of young thoughts in him. Whereas his brother, who was locked up, you tend to sit down a little bit and learn a few things. And, with growth comes wisdom. And with age, the older you get, hopefully you get that wisdom. And it seems like that's Diamond. But outside of that, it's just trying to see who are they going to continue to develop so we can eventually get those emotional attachments to the characters.
I want to touch on something you said real quick before I get into my first impressions, because I agree with Jenard that he definitely young-minded, definitely wants wants to stay in the game and wants it to be his way. The only thing I see is different than him and Tommy is he I don't trust him. Like he seems kind of like a snake to a degree, whereas Tommy, he was pretty loyal to Ghost until the end, you know what I'm saying? And then even at the end they were able to kind of like come back together as they always did, but there was never really a point where I didn't trust Tommy. Like you knew when he was beefing with Ghost, whereas Jenard, I'm I don't know. I'm trying to really get a feel for, is it just jealousy? Is it just that insecurity in like I did this, like kind of still wanting his big brother's approval in a sense, even though he says he doesn't. But, you know, it's still, like you said, developing. So I guess I'll just kind of get into my first impressions. Definitely agree that it has the feel of OG Power because I mean, even though Tariq's book picked up where it left off, it's all kids and they're in college and it's just a completely different feel. Raising Kanan again, kids, it's Kanan, it's a little bit more, I feel like, violent and such than book two, but it's still kids and it's still different. Whereas this, even though it's people we don't have emotional ties to, it does feel like, with the adult drug dealers and the party and the club scenes that they're in and then of course the sex scenes and all that, it reminds me of OG Power. Definitely can't say that I really am attached to anyone outside of course Tommy, kind of Liliana, because of, and it's not even because she's from book one, it's more so just because I see the side of Tommy that is loyal and protective and loving. I see him display that with her, and I see him also display that with his brother, and you don't really see him display that with anybody else. So even the girl he was sleeping with, like, yeah, of course he enjoyed that, but we see how quickly he was able to just cut that off completely once he realized who her other dude or whatever was. So I think that's kind of more so why I like have an attachment, I guess, to Liliana because of the way I see Tommy responding to her. But outside of that, I like it, of course. I'm gonna watch it. I've seen where some people say like, "Oh, it's slow." I kind of disagree with that. We've already had deaths. We've had typical Tommy stuff, I'd say, within episode one. But it's also a new show, so it's kind of like I don't know what people think when they got to build up the storyline and build up whatever. But I think a lot of us are still. Sometimes I have to remind myself, okay, this is a new show. Like this isn't old Power, but yeah, all in all, I like it. I think it is very interesting going into, I guess, one of the themes is that, like, Tommy being in a new city, you know what I'm saying? We were used to seeing Tommy running a crew. Like, yeah, Ghost was ultimately kind of like the head, but it was more so a partnership with different focuses, the way I looked at it. And, Tommy ran the streets, Ghost ran the clubs and all that stuff. And so like Tommy carries himself as the boss that he is, but then again he's like in a city where he doesn't have any clout. So it's kind of interesting just seeing how people will join together with him like, "Yep, let's get it, let's get this money." But then when he's like, "We got to go save Liliana," they like, "We ain't sign up for that," and he just had to accept it. Like he has no authority to be like, come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of interesting to kind of see that. What are y'all thoughts on the new, I don't want to say the new Tommy because it's still the same Tommy, but Tommy in a different city trying to make his way?
Um, I still think he's still kind of developing a little bit. I still think he's still trying to figure out what's going on. Um, but I don't know. I'm still trying to see. Like he's still. I still want to see him kind of like mature a little bit. Like, yeah, he's Tommy, but I want to see him like he can't be as reckless as he always was. He does have to like move a little bit more smarter, a little bit more cautious, and I want to see how he does a little bit more when his back's up against the wall. Or he has a little bit more stuff that he has to deal with. I'm interested to see that aspect. I don't think we've really seen too much yet. I think he's still kind of in his comfort zone. Honestly, I still think we're getting kind of everyday Tommy right now.
Baylor?
I kind of understand what people are saying that is slow, because they're probably used to. Well, for one, we don't have the star power, so to speak, in this one because again, there's no character development yet or fully. So it seems like it's going to take a full season for us to get that. I don't really know the time frame with inside the show, but if you really think about it, yeah, it is slow, it is dry. If you're just coming off of Power Book 2, if you're just catching up watching Power, it's definitely moving slower than any other series that's out there. But when you really think about what's actually going on inside the episodes, Tommy is moving extremely fast within inside Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, it's not much to take away because it's like they're setting up pieces for everything to handle. Basically, all we got is Tommy trying to establish himself in a new city. You have a family that's pretty much divided. There's a love triangle within that, and then there's you got two brothers as basically they got love for each other, but they have two different ways of how they want to go about doing business. And one is has his foot in the streets, and the other one is literally at any moment could be locked back up. You know what I mean? So
For no
uh,
reason.
for no reason, actually, But the one thing that I always wanted to take away from this series is that whatever it doesn't matter what city that he was going to go to, whether it was Chicago, L.A., it could have been Miami. I wanted them to I wanted to see how they would implement, and that's mainly why I wanted to see him go to LA is because whatever city you go to, you have to involve the culture, and they doing that somewhat with his run in with the mob, because Chicago is known for that before you even get to the chief keeps of the world. But whatever city you go to, you have to adapt to their culture. So that's the main thing that I was looking out for. I know it's going to start off slow because we don't know majority of the characters, but soon as season 2 roll around, and I'm banking on a season 3, um, we're pretty much going to be just like the rest of them, attached to a lot of different characters.
So you brought up three more of the themes. So let's go into the brother, the relationship between Diamond and Jenard. Cedric kinda, or I think you brought it up earlier when you were saying how he's like Tommy and Diamond's kind of more like Ghost. But just what are y'all thoughts on their relationship in general? Because it's really interesting. We've seen a lot of family dynamics within the Power universe, but I don't know that we've really seen something like this. I mean, I guess you could say Monet and Lorenzo coming home maybe, but that's different cuz that's a husband wife. type situation. So yeah, what are y'all thoughts on their relationship and even just the power struggle that we see between the two of them as Diamond was running things and then Jenard held it down for 15 years while he was locked up for whatever he was locked up for. And then him coming out thinking it's business as usual, like Jenard wasn't holding it down for 15 years.
Well, I mean, I think that's it. Like, even if I don't agree with Gerard's mindset and on how he want to operate, technically he did hold it down. So it's kind of like it's an ego thing at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely the older versus younger. And then you got some ego in there. You know, you got some nerve coming back, and I've already had things rolling. But at the same time, you know, it is one of those things where you got to catch up with the time because things are different. At the same time, you know, you got to understand that he got to move different because he's not trying to get locked up again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you got to be wise and aware about that. So I understand both sides. It's just one side. I wouldn't go that route because that route looks seem well with Tommy being involved now. It doesn't seem like it'll last that long. But I definitely understand it. I thought it was even though I come from that school where if you can't talk it out, you got to duke it out. But I thought it was a bit much that they fought that hard in the ring. Um, I thought that was a bit much. I thought they put dubs on that, but I understood the message. So eventually, I honestly believe that there is there is a side of me that believes that I definitely can't trust the youngster, but I think if he sits still long enough and wait for it to play out, obviously the one who I trust the most is Tommy. And I think if Tommy, stays on his medication and shows him the right way, I think he might come around. But if that does happen, that might mess up the whole storyline because eventually there has to be some type of drama with inside the triangle or the circle, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric, thoughts?
About the dynamic between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually, I'm, I'm actually a little bit mad at the younger brother a little bit, but I do understand. I'm actually waiting for that development to unfold a little bit more to kind of have a little bit more 2 cents about it because I mean you got to think about it. You got. I mean, you got the older brother who went into jail. Obviously, he settled down, like you were saying. Baylor got some wisdom, and obviously wants to come out. He doesn't want to go back in. But then you got the younger brother who he's been out doing the things for him, and I mean, it wasn't like he came out to no BS or anything like that. I mean, younger brother got him a shop and everything, hooked him up and everything, had everything that he needed. So everything was running smooth. And then, I mean, I could see what's going on. I could see why he would be upset from just Tommy coming in, but I gotta let that whole character and that whole development actually just kind of manifest itself out and see what actually comes about that because I mean, as you see at the end of episode 5, you got Jenard doing some wild stuff, shooting up, shooting up the whole scene and everything. Just, I mean, I don't know if that was to get, what is her name out because obviously I feel like those two had a, what was her name,
Liliana.
Liliana, because I feel like they obviously have a bigger role together. Just with their whole dynamic and what they were actually talking about when they were actually interacting. So I just want to see them character developments, man. It's a little bit right now. It's episode 5. We got episode 6 coming, but I want to see that character development, especially with the younger brother and the older brother.
I definitely agree. It's still new, and also I think though I don't know how much I trust Jenard just because and I don't know if it's that he thinks Diamond won't listen because Diamond does seem very like set in his ways when he does try to speak, but I just feel like the way that he's going about trying to assert his power, like I feel where he's coming from because yes, he held it down for 15 years and it sounds like he gave up something to hold it down for him. And I'm sure we'll learn more about that later. But I just feel like the way that he's going about it is very young minded. I don't know how old they're supposed to be
Not trying
because
to cut you off. Didn't he give up college?
college, but I think something else. Like he kind of alluded to, he was like, you have no idea, or however he said it. So it's kind of like I get his frustration because I would be mad if I, held it down. But at the same time, in the hierarchy of like when places have an organization and a structure, like you even go back to the mob mentality of the Sopranos and stuff like that, there is an order and there is a hierarchy. So like he knew that when he came out, it was going to be what it was when he decided to do that. And that's where my frustration comes into play because it's almost like at a job or if you're the interim manager or something because the manager is out on FMLA or something like that. Yeah, you held it down, but when they come back, they are still supposed to be the authority. And so I get where he's coming from, but the way he's trying to handle it, I feel like is very childish. But then also I agree with what you said, Baylor, about it was super drug out when they did that whole, oh, we gotta fight it out. Like I haven't seen that since like a Boys in the Hood movie and I mean that may be
I
how
mean,
the
as
gang
brother,
culture is.
they
Yeah,
brothers.
it's brothers, but I almost feel like that might be how they do stuff in CBI. Like if you got a problem, because I've seen stuff like that in like movies where if two gang members had a issue, they box it out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how true to life that is because I've never been in a gang, so I can't like say for sure, but I've seen that. But I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was drug out. I wasn't feeling that. But it'll be interesting to see because like he already hated Tommy, already didn't like him, and then now his boy got killed because they followed behind Tommy's plan. So like, and we know Tommy's not gonna die right away because it's his show. So like, you already episode 5 of season 1 have such strong hatred for Tommy to where I thought he was trying to shoot up Tommy. I didn't really think he was trying to save Liliana simply because of how he was holding on to the gun in anger, looked in the shop where his brother was before he rode off. So that was my take. Time will tell, or maybe not. But I just can't see how you could have that much hatred for that man. And then we saw if you watch the preview, almost where he's trying to recruit the young dude, which is actually technically Tommy's nephew, to handle him. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not gonna go well because we know Tommy is not gonna die anytime soon. His show just started. You know what I'm saying? So those are my thoughts on that.
That'd be a twist.
It would. It definitely it definitely would. But
This
I
was
just
really Diamond and Jenard.
right. I really can't see them doing that. Like that would be stupid, honestly, because they know what we here for. We're here for Tommy. Um, uh, Baylor, you brought up something which I feel like is a good segue to another main theme that we're going to talk about. You said catch up with the times because things are different. And I see this as a theme with Diamond and Jenard. So this is a bonus theme that is a good segue between the themes we already were going to talk about. But then we have the Flynns. So that is like one of the main drug mob type families in Chicago. Walter's the dad running things until he dies because he's sick. So there's that. Vic and Claudia are his kids. They're adult kids. So this isn't like no, Monet Tejada type stuff with these young kids. Like they got to be in their 30s, for sure. And this is another scenario where his kids are trying to get him to catch up with the times and he's not going for it, and his daughter is the accountant. She handles the money. Vic is kind of like the muscle and handles the street side of things, and she's telling him that profits are down and he's not trying to do anything new. And so that is another interesting theme of, kids trying to, and it's not even like they're trying to just do their own thing for the sake of just doing their own thing. They're trying to get him to progress as the times are progressing and he's not progressing. So because of that, they're trying to do their own thing. But what are y'all thoughts on that whole little storyline?
I think that's just a case of the elder not willing to, I would say, adapt to the new age, but it's also could be out of fear of him knowing that his clock is ticking, right? And then you want to put the right sibling in the place. I know a little bit about this because I'm a Laker fan, and Jerry Buss in the same situation had a son and a daughter. And when you leaving a franchise like that behind, you want to leave it in the proper hands. And Claudia feels like she's the right person, which I honestly believe as well, because Vic has shown that he might not even want to be in the game like that. He has a love life that he's trying to pursue, but the holdup is honestly, is sad to say, is his dad's. He's waiting for his dad to pass away because she wouldn't be accepted into the family. So, with that being said, it's like but he was also raised on this, and he pretty much knows the game, but he's in a way he's he's emotional, and it's not a bad thing. It's just that his mind could be on family business, but his heart is with Gloria. So and he's doing things on the side to try to cement her into his life, but the dad is interfering with that. At the same time, Claudia, the daughter, is like, look, he never was, that's not your favorite. And I'm the one that can basically run this business, and I know a better way. And I got the connects. But, again, some older folks are stuck in their ways.
Stuck in his ways.
And you want to make sure, just like in some cases, I'm glad that I have a son because my name will live on. My name can't live on with my daughter. And it's kind of like the business as well. Like I want my business to live on through my son, and that can cause the issue, which is it seems like it's going to cause an issue in the future.
Yep. I think the same thing. He's just old man stuck in his ways. It's probably going to catch up to him eventually. I mean, how we see in all the episodes of Power, they're going to eventually catch up to him. Either that or his health. As we see, he has a problem with that. But I don't know. He's interesting. He's an interesting guy because I mean, you got to understand him because he does have his wisdom. I mean, he's been there. He's done it. So I mean, he does have his methods. There's a method to his madness, I guess you would say. But he's just stuck in his ways. He doesn't even like to give a little bit, and I think that's ultimately going to be his downfall, one way or the other, in the end. Um, whether it's between his son, his daughter, or even Tommy, because it seems like he's not really, or even Diamond as well too. Yeah, he's not really having pretty much too good of relations with any of them. So I feel like it's just a case of that. He's just stuck in his own ways, and it'll catch up to him.
I think too, I agree with what you both said, and so piggybacking on that, as someone who is a business owner who is building something from scratch, it's like he's put decades into this at this point, and it's just being handed to them, like in whatever capacity he decides, it's
Hmm.
being handed to them. Like, yes, they've put in work in whatever ways that they've done, but they didn't build this. They didn't
Hmm.
build the relationships, even the networking, the history, you know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of like, I do understand from that standpoint where he's coming from, where he's like, I built this. Like, if there was not me, y'all wouldn't even have anything to be considering anything. But at the same time, because more so focusing on his daughter, not so much Vic, because yes, Vic is like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because he really wants to be with Gloria and he knows his dad isn't going to approve it. So he's kind of trying to make moves to, in a sense, like become his own man. Because that's the difference, too, is that, and Vic said this, if I you say I'm not a man if I choose glory, or I'm not a real man or something like that. But if I choose you, I'm still just a boy. So there's that tension of him trying to grow up, become his own man, having ideas, having thoughts, having whatever, even having a desire of who he wants to be with, and his dad not respecting that. And then we have the daughter who, on the business side of things, I agree on that side. She would be the one who would, probably be more fit to lead. And I mean, hell, she could hire muscle. So that, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't have to be out there fighting with people and stuff. But um, with her, she's like, hey, the numbers, the math ain't mathin', but there's this new drug that's out. And yes, designer drugs come and go, kind of like whoever said. But the thing about it is, in some ways, you have to follow some trends. You have to progress. They could still have their pills and keep the main thing the main thing. But it's like Walter is just, he's not willing to budge at all. It's his way or no way. And with him being so sick so early in the season, it will be interesting to see, honestly, how much longer. I mean, because he's clearly not trying to go get well or go to the doctor or do really what he's supposed to be doing, as men can be a lot of times when they get sick. So I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting to have him so sick so soon, because people are, somebody's gonna die. Like, one of these main characters is going to die episode 8, because that's how power. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how power is. There's that main death, or 2, or maybe even 3. You know what I'm saying? By the 8th episode, before they have that break. So somebody's gonna go. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know that it'll be him, but maybe it will.
Well, I actually think it was a good thing that it started out that he was sick, because, like we just finished saying, what if at the end of the day, Claudia does end up the head honcho, and what if somehow you know her and Tommy do link up, and that could be the start of a different type of empire. 'Cause at one point, if you really think about it, there's really no need for him outside of, I would honestly say, I mean, yeah, honestly, there's no need. And you know what? In his defense, which is not, it's not really a good, it's not really a good defense, but it's like, to use myself, these younger kids and the schoolwork that they have is new. The grading system is new. The way they do math is new. I don't want to learn that shit.
Right.
I don't, because it's almost like you have to go back to school to learn something. And this is a drug game. You know what I mean? There's no time to play around with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you put yourself in his shoes, he's sick and he has to make a major decision, and actually has to make a couple of decisions. He's probably smart enough to know, the game has changed. Because if you look at Power Book 2, look how they were selling drugs through an app.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not only that, they're dealing with a different type of, like a higher level type of drug, an infused drug, so to speak, or a hybrid drug.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So there's a lot of different things that's going on, and he's probably been in the game for a very, very long time. But all of this is new to him. And with most people, when it's new, it can be scary. The unknown is always scary.
Oh yeah.
So, he's probably built off of some type of alpha type shit, but at the same time, he has a fear of the unknown. And nobody wants to go through that relearning. Who wants to relearn the drug game? You know what I mean? It's just a lot. So I kind of understand that. But if you want to keep your empire rolling, you might want to keep your options open.
And that's the thing that
Mhm.
I think will be smart, is to at least consider it. Like, let Claudia even take the point on that, since she's the one coming into it. Still have your main foundation with what you've already been doing. But I do agree, when you feel like you're the expert of something and then you switch either careers or you venture out and start a business. So obviously I'm talking about my own life right now, where you're maybe an expert in some area. So like he understands the concept of selling drugs. Like, that's pretty much the same no matter what you're selling. The foundation is always the same. But then when you have to learn all these new things, especially at his age too, because there's also that, like, the older you are, I feel like the more set you get in your ways. And I think younger people are a lot more just, they're more willing to take on new things and learn new things because they don't have as many years set in doing, this a certain way. That's why these kids that used to do the old math but were taught the new math, they just kind of went with it. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, no, this is the way we do it now. Whereas I told my kids, don't ask me to help you, because I'm going to do it the way that you're supposed to do it. And I don't know what the heck y'all got going on. So,
Which
yeah.
he kind of contradicts
Yeah.
he kind of contradicts himself, because without him even knowing, is because the older you get, the less you want to do.
Mhm.
And another term for that is work smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
But he's not opening his mind up to learning a different way.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's a good point. I don't know which one of y'all said Tommy and Claudia could run an empire. So let's go ahead and get into
Mhm.
that theme. Cedric, what are your thoughts on that? Because you are actually the one who brought this up.
As far as them running the empire?
No. Just their dynamic, which the
Oh,
empire could be a part of it, but just their dynamic in general.
I just think it's interesting. Both of their characters development, especially both of their interactions. They seem like They seem like they're almost like a match in a weird way. They both have some crazy to them. Both wants to be a part of the drug game, and willing to be a part of the drug game and everything. And that's the dynamic that I'm actually really interested. Like I think Baylor just said, I didn't even think about that, running a drug empire actually together. I was just thinking about it actually just in just relationship actually type of things, but just actually even setting up that whole drug empire. Maybe that, I don't know what they're gonna do, but it's just a lot of stuff they can do. Like you said, Baylor, you waiting for them to go to L.A. That could be something. That could be like a pipeline from Chicago to L.A. or something. Like you never know. So I think that I want to see more of that character development. I like Claudia's character. I guess if I was to say I have a favorite character, I actually do. I would say actually she's actually one of my favorite characters because she's like a wild card to me. I kind of don't know about her, but you can tell she's about it, and that's what I like about her. So yeah, I'm real interested in that dynamic, and now I'm interested to see if they actually would actually do what Baylor actually even said.
In a way, I don't want it to happen because he doesn't have a history of good long term relationships.
That's
Mm-hmm.
why it could only if it stayed in Chicago,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
But
it might be decent, you know.
I selfishly, as a fan of Tommy, I would love to see him in a relationship, white picket fence. That'll never happen. At
Mm-mm.
the same time, I'm also selfish in him. I wanted him to be a nomad. I want him to go from city to city and see how he could handle and carry himself in just different cultures.
I their dynamic is definitely interesting because the dynamic was there even when he was sleeping with Gloria. Um, I think that Claudia challenges him in ways almost like Holly did. You know what I'm saying? Um, but it's different than Holly, obviously, because Holly was like she was down more so than Keisha, but Holly was like reckless, you know what I mean? So there's that, and she would do things just all out of order and cause problems or whatever. Whereas Lakeisha was good for Tommy as far as that nurturing and stuff that he really needed because we know he has mommy issues. But she was trying too hard to be somebody she wasn't, and ultimately we see where that got her. What I like about Claudia is Claudia, like I said, challenges him because she's like Tommy, but then her being like Tommy. Let's go there because look at how she killed old girl, and I don't think she really. I think that was some Tommy Holly stuff where it just happened because the girl was trying to leave and trying to take her. You know what I'm saying? I don't think she ever really intended to kill her, and then she sat there traumatized doing drugs with the girl still bleeding out all over the carpet. Hell, that might be the first girl or person she's ever killed. So I think if they are very much alike, which it kind of seems like it, that oftentimes isn't a good match. You know what I'm saying? This is where Lakeisha was a good match for Tommy because she grounded him and gave him what he needed. But I don't see Tommy being in a relationship anytime soon because if we think about the timeline, Lakeisha ain't been dead that long. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he was having fun sleeping with old girl because I mean men are physical creatures and they need that release. But I didn't see him as being really emotionally tied to her, and I can't see him being emotionally tied to Claudia either because business will always come first. in
I
my
don't.
opinion.
I don't think Claudia is the perfect fit. I mean, I can see it happening storyline wise is perfect, but everything else, no. I think the perfect fit for him is Lillian. I think
Liliana.
Liliana. I think she's the perfect. I think she's a perfect match for him because I think she's street smart, even though she made a dumb mistake. The
She
only
was
thing,
high though. She was high. She
and that's the only thing. That's
out of
the
her
only thing.
mind high.
I mean,
That's the only thing that worries me about her is that she will test the product. But the thing is, she knows how to break down a product, and she's fearless. And I think out of all the women that he's had, I mean, even though we're know they're not together, I think she is the perfect one outside of her potential drug habit.
Nah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't because Tommy likes look at the women he's been with, like physically, and obviously Holly's white, Lakeisha's black, so it's not he doesn't have a type. And then let's look at Gloria. They're all like girly girls in a sense. Like I'm not saying Liliana's
Third
ugly.
episode, she got girly girl when she took her clothes off.
Okay, but
I'm not forgetting that.
She took her clothes off, but the way she dresses and the way she carries herself, like look at how all the women that Tommy has been with, Holly, she was a waitress or a whatever in Truth, so you had to have the nice dress, whatever. We saw how Lakeisha was, and even he said when she got naked, you don't do it for me. Like that's not. I don't see.
I'm a guy. I know exactly what that meant. That's cat. That's cat.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know, but I hear what she's saying. But if anybody, it would have been maybe Gloria could have been had she not have he could have got attached to her and fell for her at some point.
They still got a chance, I think.
I see growth with Tommy. I think old Tommy would have still hit it anyway and wouldn't have cared because they're not together. But I see new Tommy in a new city is about his money and being with her, knowing that's old boy's ex or current or whatever.
I was about to say, as much as I don't like Vic, he gives me Carlton Bank vibes. But Gloria has probably the most unnecessary role in this show.
She probably will be the season 8 death. I mean, episode 8 death.
Between her and Professor Milgram, they could go. They can, and I'm talking about go. But to be on his side though, I think Tommy would be dumb to continue to mess with that.
Yeah.
I think he should just leave that alone and let stop trying to break up that somewhat happy home. And that's at the end of the day, if things go the way they're going, Vic is going to try to end up killing Tommy anyway.
Now let's go here for a second because you brought up something that I thought is very interesting. Now, I'm not surprised that Vic wanted to sit down and talk with Tommy and Diamond and get that money. That I'm not surprised about because he's trying to get money and he already was on the drug tip. I was very surprised to see that that's who Tommy called when he went to meet with what was her name? The Serbian chick, and that was his shooter that came out of nowhere. Like that I was surprised about because why were you so gung ho to do that? But you know what? It might be because was that after his boy got killed on that mission?
No,
Was
I
that
think
that was
Yeah, that was
before,
after.
right?
That was
That was
after.
yeah.
That was
so
after.
okay. So then, if it was after, then that's probably why he was so willing. Because I just thought it was kind of weird that he was so gung ho to do. Are we sure it was after?
It was right after his boy got shot. That's what he was mad about.
Okay.
Remember his boy and Gerard boy got killed.
Yeah. Okay. Then that makes sense. I guess I forgot that happened afterwards because, like, no, are we sure? Because I thought they killed her and then had to go start taking out the rest of the Serbs. Or was that? Am I wrong?
No, because I remember that. I remember when they went to go take out the rest of them. I remember that being towards towards the end of the episode, right?
Okay, so she was already dead at that point. Yep, you right, because that's when Milka blah blah came and was like whoopty whoopty woo, and then by the time they shot them up, we never saw. Yeah, okay, you right. Okay, so then if that was, I don't know, but okay, I thought that was interesting. Either way, that he was so willing.
And you got to remember, Tommy takes risk. So if this wasn't a scripted show, Tommy probably would have been dead.
Well, no, Tommy, yeah, but I'm talking about Vic helping him being the shooter. I
That's
thought
what I'm
that.
saying. That's what I'm saying. We probably wouldn't have even got to that scene.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Tommy would have been dead because Tommy really should have got shot even when they were in, like when Jenard, I mean not Jenard, Jeremiah, whatever his character's name was. Shout out to him though. We'll still hear him on the powder, respect. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, there was a point where Tommy should have got shot if the people had aim. It's just so funny when people are snipers and then when they not is like when you really should be, and then when they are, it's like how did
They're
you
talking
do
about
that?
when he shot the dude that was talking instead of shooting Tommy.
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
when they shot up in that warehouse, it's like everybody had zombie head aim. It's always like that. You know?
I was more mad that the dude shot the dude that Tommy. I was like, why would you shoot your boy and not shoot? But
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
But
That
I
was
guess I understood why, because you can't tell him, like it seemed like he was about to tell him where oh boy was, and you can't do that. So I got that. But I think this is a good segue to the last, I guess, main theme that we have is that the fact that racial division is such a thing in this one, and it wasn't in New York, even though it's not like it was only ever just black people, or like they dealt with Russians, they had the Serbians, they had the mob, they had different black gangs and drug dealers and whatnot, Hispanic. So it's just so interesting that in Chicago, which is kind of a melting pot as well, how race is so much more highlighted in this series than it was in New York. Like, I was kind of surprised just because it wasn't a thing in New York, but I guess I don't really know a ton about Chicago to know whatever. And I know New York is a melting pot and has so many different kinds of people that, whatever, I guess. But did y'all did y'all think that's weird, or I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that it was very pointed out in
So
this.
Chicago, I was aware of that. Surprised it wasn't that much in New York. Not in power, but basically in raising Canaan. Yeah, I would expect a lot of racism around that time. You got the Italians. You know what I
Mm.
mean? But in Chicago, absolutely. I think even till this day, you could ask some cats in Chicago that is still divided in certain areas. And then you got to really think it's not just, and because we typically attach that type of racism to the South. But this we're talking about families and empires. You know what I mean? So again, they was probably still built off of segregation and racism, but it was more structured. You stay in your area, we stay in our area. Y'all can't
Mm-hmm.
marry into our family. We not gonna marry into y'all family.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more about the business aspect. I'm pretty sure if you come west, it's going to be a little bit different. We won't be dealing with a lot of racism because the melting pot is different over here. So it's about the politics that was built in those areas probably before their time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You probably have to go back to a lot of the history where a lot of the southern people migrated towards the west. You know what I mean? And of course, over here, well, not Arizona now, but a lot of West Coast states and things like that are blue. You know what I mean? Where if you go back to the Midwest and the South, it could be a little bit different. You know what I mean? In the Midwest, it extends over there going back towards East. And again, you got those mobs and those mafias. It was different, you know.
I mean, here, for example, where we live in Omaha, it is very segregated. It's so funny. I just gave the group chat like a little bit of the history of our city because it's always funny when people think there are not black people in Nebraska, let alone Omaha, when I mean there was one point when we were like one of the not like top 10 worst cities to live for black people, but something on some report that they were talking about here. But we definitely have tons of black people, we have white people, we have Hispanics. But what's so interesting about Omaha is how segregated it is, where North Omaha is predominantly black, South Omaha is predominantly Hispanic. West Omaha is predominantly white. East Omaha is predominantly white too, but you don't really talk about East Omaha like that because it's almost more so considered part of Carter Lake, which is Iowa. So the interesting thing about it is we are the minorities though. So it's like there's white people in South Omaha as well as North Omaha. So we're never the majority in Omaha, but we tend to be more concentrated to where black people are predominantly north and Hispanic people are predominantly South. And then within our city, I remember, and I don't know if you'd remember this, Cedric, because you're, over a decade younger than me, but I remember so there's this street in North Omaha called Ames Avenue or is it Ames Street? I think it's Ames Street. Ames, we'll just say that just in
That's
case.
Mark.
You know what I'm saying? It's Avenue or Street, but it's Ames. That's what I just call it. Ames didn't go past, it didn't even go all the way to 72nd. Now, in the grand scheme of Omaha now, we have like 0 to, it goes out to like 204th now after they did this annex of pulling in suburbs as part of Omaha. But even when it didn't go that far out, Ames Avenue, one of the main streets in North Omaha, did not go as far as 72nd. In my lifetime, I remember when they extended it out so that it could go that far. And the thing about it is, back in the day, here with all the redlining and all that stuff with buying properties, we couldn't buy properties past 72nd. So it's just very interesting how segregation looks different, or racism or whatever, it looks different in different cities. And I know it exists everywhere, like even today, them highlighting that Vic's dad doesn't want him to be with Gloria simply because she's black. Like,
Mhm.
she's beautiful. He even admitted that. So it's not like he's saying, Why are you gonna be with this little ugly girl? If she had blonde hair, blue eyes, it'd be perfect. You know what I'm saying? I know that stuff still exists. I just think it's interesting that in OG Power, it wasn't talked about at all, even if it is an issue. Like,
It probably was it because you got to. It exists in LA. It exists in different areas, and again, it might was highlighted differently in a different decade. The reason why I brought up Raising Canaan is because I was around what the late '80s.
yeah, early 90s.
Yeah, if you switch to another movie, say like New Jack City,
Mm-hmm.
they highlighted racism in New Jack City, and that was in the
Yeah.
early '90s.
Yeah.
So it just depends on it all depends on the area and the era. To tell you the truth,
And I guess maybe even more so the focus too, because I think like highlighting it now creates drama, which they got to have a storyline. You know what I'm saying? So it
Mhm.
creates drama for Tommy, where it's like, oh, the whites and the blacks, they don't want to be together, but I'm just trying to get this money. So unity, unity, unity for the green. You know what I'm saying? But it's just interesting. Like, in no way, let me clarify to the listeners, I'm not saying I'm surprised, like I think it doesn't exist. I very much know it exists. It's just, as Baylor said, even in Raising Canaan, when it was even more prevalent than it is now, overtly, like, now it's a lot of times covertly sometimes, except you have them bold people, you know what I'm saying? But back in the 90s, we didn't care about PC. We didn't care about a lot of the stuff that we get quote unquote canceled for now. So I guess if they brought it up, I guess I'm surprised it's in this series and wasn't in Raising Canaan. But I mean, yeah, I know it's definitely, I guess, a good storyline. They gotta they gotta have their story.
I mean, if you think about it
Yeah.
though, like I guess Tommy's spinoff was a good way to highlight it, and they probably didn't have the room or the storyline to fit in the original Power, you know.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you can sense a little bit of it, today's racism, so to speak, in book two. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
With the I'm not sure what the family is called.
The Westons.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Prime
Yeah.
example. That's a
Yeah,
family
yeah,
that
yeah.
Yeah.
it's not a drug enterprise, but
Right.
you know we know where they come from.
Mhm. Yeah. Thought that was interesting. Like we said, Tommy's trying to bring unity. Tommy has a black brother.
JP.
That is
JP.
interesting because Tommy has been an only child. Like, it's wild how much Tommy hates Kate, but like JP's dad and JP, it's like next level, like a whole different way. Because in Tommy's mind, he's like, well, you probably, like, you better be glad you missed out on
Hmm.
her because she wasn't shit anyway. But I to be the one that got left behind, you know what I'm saying? And always wondering, like, well, why didn't she, like, how's she gonna raise him and not me? I could relate to that in the sense of my bio dad, though he doesn't have any other biological kids, raised somebody else's kids and not me. So like I understand JP's frustration, but it's just wild that Tommy has another black brother and another nephew running the streets. So it's like Ghost 2.0 and Tariq
Hmm.
2.0 in a sense. But it'll be interesting to see who's gonna die, because what we know, I was kind of surprised about Jenard's boy getting killed, but I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect him to die, but
I ain't gonna say I expected it,
Yeah.
but I'm not surprised at all because he ain't really
Yeah.
mean nothing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
Little
I'm not
throwaway.
surprised, but I didn't expect it. But yeah, I mean, I guess
It,
I'm surprised, but it makes sense. Is I guess
it,
where I
it
come
helps out
from.
the it helps out the storyline at the end of the
Mhm.
day because he already doesn't like Tommy,
Mhm.
and my boy just died because of you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. Then we have who apparently is Baylor's preferred choice for Tommy, Liliana.
Hey, I think every season I have a boo, and that's my boo right there.
So clearly you have a Hispanic preference in Power anyway, because you
Hey,
chose.
I'm from Southern California.
Okay,
We don't we don't discriminate at all.
gotcha. Which
And
no, I mean even if
I'm taking her with the scar. I'm with Gerard on that.
no,
Let me
even
touch
if it
that.
was a white girl, that's not why I said that. The reason I said that is because you chose Angie in book one, who was
Hmm.
also Hispanic. Now you're choosing Liliana, who outside of Power, because I follow her on IG. Oh yeah, but the way they portray her in Power is like, nah, that's not Tommy's type.
Are you talking about personality? Or are you talking about looks?
I'm talking about looks, because that's what I was saying. Is I don't see her as Tommy's type.
All I see is the same one you see on IG, but without makeup. I see I see the same thing. They didn't flat iron her hair, and she got a scar. But I look right past that. I look right past that.
Clearly. So yeah, Liliana and Tommy, that dynamic is super interesting because as I said earlier, you see Tommy being protective of her, but it also could be a liability because he kind of risked certain things that he wouldn't have risked if she had not have gotten taken. You know what I'm saying?
He almost died out there in that shootout.
Yeah, and like he wouldn't have killed the Serbs, so then the Serbs wouldn't have like people wouldn't have known, and he's supposed to be dead in New York, so and I know that's why he killed whatever the hell her name is, Tatiana. That's what her name was.
Mm.
That's why he killed her because she brought up New York. Because nah, you can't go back to New York talking about Tommy Egan. I saw him because he's supposed to be dead. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, I think she's a liability, but I also like seeing Tommy have somebody, you know what I'm saying? And like not somebody that is he's sleeping with. I'm saying just having somebody that's loyal to him because we see that when Jenard tried to offer her money, I'll give you 10 times that if you're the one to kill him, and she's like it'll never happen. Like I do know that she has a level of loyalty to Tommy because I think it's that she at least knows what to expect with him. Either he's going to kill you and you're going to know he's on that, or if he's trying to keep you alive, like y'all are partners now, then he's on that. Like he's pretty straightforward on what it is. I think I like having her around. I just wonder like how long is she gonna stay around?
Well, if you think about it, she doesn't really have anywhere to go as of right now.
Yeah.
So killing Tommy just puts her in a hole deeper. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And she's right though. We both need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, the only thing that I don't like is that she got to stay away from the drugs.
Yeah.
But her specialty is with the
It's
drugs,
with the
Mm-hmm.
drugs.
and that's gonna be her. It's gonna be her downfall. It's right now, as of right now, if I had to, her and JP will be the emotional deaths.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like when and it's because we know how power goes. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean,
Hmm.
even when we think about everybody that died at the end of book two, Carrie, I knew she was gonna die as soon as she started getting in Tariq's business.
She just got
Lauren, I knew she was gonna die when she put on that wire. You know what I'm saying?
Both of them just got dumber
Yeah.
as the season went on. I
Mhm.
swear. Oh man.
But Zeke, that one I was surprised about. But so that's the death that I was like, I'm sad about and I'm gonna miss him and whatever. So that was an emotional death because he already went through a lot. Lauren and Carrie, Jabari, hell no, he was a weirdo. So like those deaths,
Zeke was smarter than all of them
yeah,
because he was the only
Yeah.
one that was like, look, I don't know. I'm just trying to get to the draft. Look, Auntie Mama.
I ain't lie, you lied. You lied.
you
Auntie
lied.
mommy.
Now he may sounded a little weird, but he was telling the truth.
You telling the
You
truth.
lied, okay?
Yep.
And now I gotta come over here and sleep on this couch because y'all in war.
Right. And you was gonna kill my teammate?
Like what? The dude that passed me the ball?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Man.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree that that would be an emotional death.
They got some characters. I'm not gonna lie. It's just again, I understand why people feel like it's too slow because the bodies are not dropping. But even if the bodies drop right now, it wouldn't make any sense, and it would be extremely too fast because we don't have any attachment to. You don't have to have a positive attachment to all these characters, but they have to mean something eventually for them to die. Like even Walter, we know he's dying. But yet and still, he got to go through. So we need more of him. If not, we need him to pass it on. And then Vic and Claudia character have to mean something. Without that, it means nothing.
Yeah. So everyone, I don't know if this is a spoiler because the rest of the world and the listeners, y'all may have looked up the Tommy cast or whatever too, because I looked up the cast and the characters so that I can make sure I had the characters' names right because I'm terrible at that, especially this early into a season. I'm not even good with names in real life, to be honest. So I had to go look it up. And so when I went to go look it up, y'all, lo and behold, my nigga 2-Bit was on there as a power character. His name was Francis, though, because I'm assuming, of course, no, you can't be going by 2-Bit if they know you ran with Tommy and Tommy is supposed to be dead. But it's so interesting because I was just watching. No, I listened to, and I've said this on here before, one power recap show called Power After Hours, and they go live on Monday after every episode. I never can catch it, so I'll just listen to the podcast. And someone's always in every book been like, when is maybe not book 3 because it wouldn't have made sense in Raising Kanan, but when is 2-Bit coming back, especially when he came back. Now
they have been saying this since episode 1 though. So like people that's in the Power universe knew 2-Bit was coming back. They just didn't know which episode. So every week after the first one, they kept waiting for him to come.
But if he left and went to Chicago with Tommy, then that makes sense why he didn't come back. Because again, we got to remember that he popped up and then never came back to book 2, and he didn't die. So we know if you didn't die, you can come back at any moment. But we also know that Tommy's show picks up earlier in the timeline or whatever. So like everything that just happened in season 2 has not happened yet as far as like the timeline of things. Right. So it now makes sense because I didn't understand why they brought him back and then he kind of just faded out of and we even talked about that in one of our
we know why we don't know. Well, we knew why he came back and we knew why he left because it got too hot.
Yeah.
He had a body on him.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like no phone calls, nothing, and you was extorting money from Tariq and now you don't need that money no more. You know what I'm saying? To me, I thought that was weird, that was a loose end that needed to be kind of tied. But if the whole plan was to have him come be a part of Tommy's book, it's like now it makes sense. So it's like they really are creating the Marvel universe for drug dealers, because it's like each show, just like each movie, will have little, what they call it, goose eggs or whatever, Easter eggs, some type of eggs, and that kind of like ties to the other thing. So like, to anybody else who just came in on Power Book 2, 2-Bit showing up, being some random nigga, roughing Tariq up is like, damn, why is this grown ass man treating this little boy like this? Because y'all don't know 2-Bit in the history like we know 2-Bit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and anybody that only watches book 4 and never saw even OG Power doesn't even understand the significance of Liliana, the Serbs, and won't understand 2-Bit. But for me, I am excited to see that Hay is going to be back. And I hope he stays around for a while, because him, man, R.I.P. Spanky. Too bad he turned out to be a snitch. But him and Spanky were like, they just had the funniest dynamic in the midst of serious, life-threatening situations. They had the most just funniest interaction. So I'm excited to see 2-Bit coming back. So it's not really a spoiler alert because it's on the internet. So we didn't even see the episode. I just happened to see, that he was one of the cast, and I was like, oh, okay. Send it to the group chat, excuse me, because Chris and Jay watch it too. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think that's it as far as themes and events. So predictions. What any predictions you think the season, the series? Who do you think, if you had to guess right now, will be the episode 8 big death? Because we know there's gonna be one.
Liliana. Yeah, Liliana.
I'd probably say Walter doesn't make it to the second season. That's about it.
I have thought. I feel like it's going to be. Yeah. I kind of go with Walter. I've thought about this a lot actually, because oftentimes it's somebody who is not, like, I thought about maybe JP, but I just can't see them doing that to him yet. I think maybe at some point he probably will, once we become more attached to him, because that's just how it goes, and he's not in the drug game, and he seems like a good human being, so we know good people die in power. But I don't know. I don't see them doing that to him yet because of all that Tommy has already lost. So I try to think about the mind of a creator. Like, if I was creating this show, do we make it more pain infused already when he's already carrying the deaths of Ghost and Lakeisha, and even having to leave Cash behind because I know he really liked Cash. There's that, grieving even the family he had with Tasha and Tariq. Despite how it turned out, that was his family forever. So I don't see them doing that to him yet. So then I've thought about, what about Jenard? Because you gunning so hard for Tommy, man, you not gonna win that fight because Tommy's not gonna die. So I've thought about that. Walter makes sense because he's so sick. Dude could barely stand up. So I'm gonna go with that. But this has been I just wanted to take y'all on the little journey of, because I've thought about this like a lot. Like, okay, you know, I try to predict stuff. Like, I knew Carrie was going to die. I knew Lauren was going to die at some point. Yeah. But they also like to throw us off too, because I would have never thought Ghost would have got killed, to be honest. Like, I would have never thought they would have did that. But I'm gonna go Walter. That's gonna be my prediction. Other than that, I can't say that I have enough evidence of really. I can't fully tell where they're going with this, because this is like, it's new. Like with Tariq's, we understood, okay, we got to get him off of this murder, or I mean, we got to get Tasha out. We got, like, I've always understood the assignment, for each season. But with Tommy's being new, I can't say that I really understand, other than, yeah, he's trying to establish himself in New York, but there's also all these old things popping up, because I know he didn't expect the Liliana to pop up, which then made the Serbs pop up. Like, I know he didn't expect stuff like that. And hell, neither did I. So, yeah, I think that's my, yeah. And Baylor, you said you wanted to talk about the exit of the showrunner.
Well, it was just interesting that they renewed the season, the second season for Tommy. In the well, not that they did it in the middle, but basically that the creator of the show would be walking away. Not too concerned about it, but you know, I definitely want to see them carry it out and see if they can keep up the good work, kind of like Snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, they are losing a heavy hitter,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I believe they could keep it. They could hold it together.
The interesting thing with that is that they highlighted it, and I don't know why they highlighted it with that particular, because I saw it on IG, like, was it today or yesterday that they announced that they got picked up for a season 2. That I'm not surprised about, because I had already saw that Tommy's show had the highest numbers of apparently any series ever in the history of Stars. And I, like, intentionally watched it on Sunday on purpose to help boost the numbers, because I'll usually watch on, like, before the next week. Sometimes it'd be Saturday and I'm watching 2 at a time, depending, but I intentionally watched it on Sunday. And I know that some people didn't watch the other series but came back for Tommy. So I'm not surprised about them renewing it. If they're smart, they'll keep Power on, because that's honestly the only reason I have Stars. If Power goes elsewhere, I will cancel my Star subscription, because I'm not watching it for anything else. But I just think it's interesting that they highlighted in that article that the showrunner left, when she actually announced that, like, I want to say at the beginning of Ghost season 2. Like, that's been known for a minute. So I just thought that was kind of weird that that's when they made it a point to tie it to that, as if it's at the same time when her replacement was already announced and everything. I can't remember what his name is. I'm not worried about the momentum of the show, because what I see about it from the creative side of things, each episode will have a different director, writer, and all these different things. So while she and 50 Cent created it, and she was the showrunner, and she's still the executive producer, and I don't know what exactly, I think he's an executive producer too. it's never been the Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent show. Like, it's always been, from what I can tell, a culture of lots of people, lots of hands. And we've talked about, or I've talked about this in a different recap, a culture of like raising up people where somebody might have started in lighting, but you saw that they write and now they're a writer. And I didn't know that Insecure, I watched all of that, and Issa Rae created a culture of that as well. So I love when people create a culture where you raise up the people that have been, you know what I'm saying, like your day one people instead of steady bringing in new people. So I'm not too worried about the show. I will miss, though, because I don't know if her replacement is going to do the IG lives that she does where she like answers questions from the fans, and I don't know if he'll do that because I don't even know if he has an IG because they didn't tag him. They just did a hashtag, so that makes me think he may not have IG, or I don't know. So I'll miss that because she has given us a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, but it is interesting that they announced it when they announced it, because it's not new information. She been left, like she already is working at Netflix and hasn't, apparently barely was on set for like the second season of Ghost or something like that, she was saying. So
Yeah.
Yep. Cedric, predictions.
I think it's kind of really too early to say. I do think Liliana is probably going to go. I feel like she doesn't have too much of. I feel like she's the easiest character to kind of let go. Honestly, I feel like she almost should have been dead.
Dang.
Honestly, if we're being honest, Tommy thinks that.
Oh, true.
So I don't see. I don't see Diamond. Obviously, he's not going. I don't see his brother going. Walter, I guess, is a good guess, but I kind of like his character a little bit more than Liliana's. I'd be actually a little bit more sad to see him go before I see her go.
So you like the racism, huh? No, I'm just kidding. Nah, I'm kidding.
He's old. He's an old white man. He's been through real racism, so I'm sure he's racist.
That's
if he's playing like how he's supposed to be playing in the show, I'm sure.
Any other predictions, fellas? Thoughts, ideas for the series so far?
Nah. I think it's just one of those. Let's just sit and wait and let it play out. You know what I mean? Like, I think they still setting the chessboard up before they start knocking cats down.
Most definitely.
All right, y'all. Well, this has been Tommy Season 1, episodes 1 through 5. If you're watching, I will, it says Power Book 4, Season 1. I'll probably keep that as is, but this is Tommy. I might change it to Tommy for the next one. So we'll be back for this recap at the end of the season. So we will see if any of our predictions were right. We will see who the episode 8 big death is, because that's usually when they do it. Now, if they don't, I'll be kind of surprised, because that's not how Power gets down. Maybe episode 9, but usually it's 8, because then they have the break scheduled afterwards, because it's this, oh my gosh, and then they come back for 2 episodes. So somebody gonna die, you know what I'm saying, episode 8. We'll see who it is. Fellas, you know what? I'm not even gonna make y'all do this, because y'all stuff is always in the episode notes. Like, you're practically co-hosts at this point. So you can follow them on Twitter, Instagram, It's in the episode notes. I even put the dating pool phone number in the episode notes if you want to call it. Baylor has some merchandise. Is that as accessible from your main website, or is that a separate website?
The dating pool department website.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
separate.
that's separate, and that's separate. That'll only be one piece at a time.
Okay. Well, he has some dope hoodies, t-shirts, joggers, but apparently he's only has it one piece at a time. If you follow him on social media, you see everything that he's doing, especially with the content that he does to promote it. It's hella creative, hella inspiring to me on like stepping my game up with promoting. But I got to get more inventory before I do that because, yeah. But y'all definitely should check out his merchandise. So I'll have the link to that in the episode notes and call the hotline. You know what I'm saying? If you have a
Call the
dating.
hotline for advice. You can call to leave advice. I'm not giving you nothing. You can leave advice. You can leave a personal story. Um, Anything. The hotline is for you to complain, to vent. If you want to sing, don't sing that long though, and know if you can sing, and you know if you can sing. Because I will put it on one of the back of my videos. And that's it. I want you to have fun with it. Dating is supposed to be fun. And if you feel like there's piss in the pool, then go find another one. And nobody talks about jacuzzis. I don't understand that. But all right.
The dating jacuzzi, because that seems more like a one on, like you're in a relationship. Like pools are big, so there's lots of people. There's usually not a ton of people in a jacuzzi, is
That's
my
how
thought process.
that's how it's supposed to be. That means date smaller. Get out the pool, let it heat up a bit, go get in the jacuzzi.
Okay. I'm sure that makes sense. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like I said, we'll be back at the end of the season. Make sure that you are taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, being healthy in your relationships. We are still in a man, if it ain't one thing, it's another in this country. Like it's just global crisis after global crisis. These gas prices are just out of this world, especially in other places. Like, man, I've seen $7 a gallon. I think you posted that, Baylor.
Mhm.
Yeah, nah, that's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, so y'all don't just have to hit the dating pool department hotline. Y'all could actually hit my cash app if you want to. And I don't know, I ain't that type of person, but I'm that type of person today. If
you
you
know
want
what
to
I'm
help me out with
saying?
some gas, go ahead and do that.
Because listen, it's like people, and I always bring up what's going on in the world because at the end of the day, I want to remind y'all, be kind to people. Like you just don't know what battles people are facing, and a lot of times the people that are on social media trying to cheer everybody else up or trying to encourage everybody else up or encourage everybody else, they're usually talking to themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then if you benefit from it, cool. I know some of my most inspirational or even especially relationship stuff like healthy just interactions, not dating because I don't do that, but like interactions with people are usually based on what I'm going through or something I encountered or when I'm trying to remind myself whatever to encourage myself in this journey I'm in of being an entrepreneur and all this stuff. So it's like you don't know what people are facing. You know, people are losing relatives, people are struggling financially, people got health issues. Like be kind to people or just be quiet. Like if you can't find it in your heart and soul to be kind to people and you got to be raggedy, maybe you should just be quiet because like why add to someone's issues. So that's all I got for y'all this week. Make sure y'all come back through on Thursday for a new episode, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for